Okay, so um, thanks for joining us. In Nigeria, the girl child remains one of the most vulnerable groups in education in the educational sector, with millions still out of school despite numerous interventions. While safety concerns such as insecurity, gender-based violence, and abduction have received widespread attention, they are only part of a much deeper and systemic issues. Beyond safety, a complex web of policy failures ranging from weak implementation, inadequate funding, cultural insensitivity, and lack of political will continues to hinder the educational advancement of Nigerian girls. These structural outcomes, or shortcomings rather, not only reinforces gender disparity, but also undermines national developmental goals and global commitments such as the Sustainable Development Goals. And addressing these policies failures is critical to unlocking the full potential of the Nigerian girl child and ensuring the education becomes a right, not a privilege for all. All right, so it's a beautiful episode, a new week on your favorite primetime show, Ways. My name remains Susaywa Mesale, and today our focus is on a pressing concern that is going beyond safety to examine the policy failures that continues to keep the Nigerian girl child out of school. Now, remember, Ways is all about you. You are the why in Ways, so be a part of the conversation every single day. Add your voice to the discussion. You can also head onto our YouTube channels at Official Upgrade TV. Hit the subscribe button, like, share, invite families and friends to join and follow the conversation right now. When I open the phone lines, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic, right? What do you think are the policies that is hindering the girl child from, attaining educational, attaining her education. Now, as always, let me allow you ponder on my quote for the day. It says, "It's not that Nigerian girls don't want to go to school. It's that policy failures, poverty, and unsafe environment keep closing the classroom doors on them." And this was from Funam Yakubu. She's a girl education advocate, Malala Fund, Nigeria. So we'll delve into this conversation much later on, of course, policies and the girl child and, education. But I'm off on a break. When I come back, I'll let you in on my news interest for the day. Stay with me. All right, you're still watching Ways. So federal government enforces no work, no pay on striking ASU members. Now, as you all know, the federal government has directed vice chancellors of the federal universities across the country to strictly enforce the no force, no pay policy against members of the academic staff union of the university currently participating in the ongoing nationwide strike. Now, according to the circular, the Federal Ministry of Education expressed dissatisfaction over reports of the continued industrial action by ASU despite repeated calls for dialogue, stressing that government would no longer tolerate non-compliance with extant labor laws. And the minister directed all vice chancellors of the federal universities to immediately conduct a roll call and physical head count of all academic staff in their institutions. He also instructed them to submit a comprehensive report indicating staff members who are present and performing their official duties and those absent or participating in the strike. Alongside, as the minister further directed that salary payment for the period of work stoppage be withheld from these people that fail to perform their duties. I don't know about this, but you see, I've said this thing to ASU several times. This is a failed strategy, right? ASU strikes and all of that is not working. They've done this for years. Like I was in university, ASU was striking. And this was what, 2002, right? So I don't know how you want to continue the same strategy. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. The outcome is going to be the same. So let's find a better strategy to dialogue with the government and let's see how to move things forward as opposed just strike. And to the government, right? And this would be a good time to digitize institutions. So you're not doing physical head count. Like literally, if you log in, you go to work and all of that. Because again, this is where technology would have, played a huge role. You clock in, of course, you clock out. Okay, so now the question will now be: so when they clock in, are they working in that period, or just to mark an attendance? It's just a lot of complications. But I feel like federal government, you have a long way to go when it comes to our educational systems and how to upgrade, the structures and upgrade the processes, right, so that it is easier, it is seamless, and some of these things are, easily done without having to do the physical work. Yeah. So for ASU, can we change the strategy? I think this strategy is outdated, and I don't think it's working, if you ask me. But hey, now who I go ask, Abby? That's the song. All right, so the president is under fire over presidential pardon for drug offenders. Opposition party and the political figures, including the African Democratic Congress and former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, have condemned President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, his recent decision to grant presidential pardons to dozens of convicted criminals, including drug traffickers, describing the move as a grave setback to Nigeria's anti-drug campaign and a dangerous affront to justice and morality. The presidency on Saturday had released a detailed list of 175 individuals that were granted, the 2025 presidential pardon, among them the late nationalist Howard Macaulay and the late Major General Maman Vatsta and Mariam Sanda, who were sentenced to death for killing, or Mariam was sentenced to death for killing her husband. So the pardon, which also included presidential clemency, covered more than 30 convicted drug offenders, several others jailed for crimes such as homicide, fraud, and illegal mining. And the development has sparked, of course, widespread criticism and debate across the country, and Atiku said that the pardon had rightly sparked this outrage, and he said that while the presidential power of mercy is intended to balance justice with compassion, its misuse weakens confidence in the rule of law. He described the decision as shocking and indefensible at a time when Nigeria is grappling with insecurity, moral decay, and a surge in drug-related crimes. Atiku called for a review of the clemency process to ensure transparency, fairness, and respect for public interest, insisting that Nigeria needs leaders who defend justice, not those who undermine it. So this is a very is a tricky thing, because whilst I saw that presidential pardon, honestly, I kept on asking, is this the best that they could do in terms of the people that were given the pardon? I thought the essence of this pardon is actually to, because there are people that are in jail, they've not even undergone any trial, they are innocent, right? And they're just there, and they've been there for years because they don't have like anybody. And this is where you have a lot of lawyers that do pro bono cases go to. I mean, I know one of our former anchors on Ways Money, she goes to the prison. She has a prison ministry where she goes to help people that have been in jail and they don't have anybody to actually bail them out. So I'm wondering, 175 people, and you're giving people that are drug offenders. And again, I think the presidency, they need to be very, would I call it, they need to be introspective in their dealings. You know why I say this? Just before the 2023 elections, right, during the campaigns and all of that, we saw a report that was indicting the president of being a drug, being related, or committing a crime related to drug. If for any reason, right, I get it that you're the president and actually you have the power to do a lot of things, right? And it is your prerogative who you choose to pardon. But you see, when there are already underlying issues, right, there were issues and allegations of the president being linked to certain kinds of drug crimes and all of that. I would have thought that the presidency should have been, a bit more cautious in the choice of the people that they grant those pardons to, right? Except maybe those people that are linked to the drug crime, they were innocent, right? That is when, okay. But if there is any inclination that they actually committed those crimes and you're not granting them pardon, it just further, would I say, justifies whatever report that has been said about you and further helps that narrative to keep on, gaining a lot of ground. That's one. Remember when the late former president, had issues with, people were calling him out that because he's also a headman, that's why he's almost like the leader of the, what's it called, those Fulani headsmen and all of that. I mean, these are things that, it always comes up, it plays out. So I would think that a presidency would really think it through before they choose, who they want to grant, these pardons to. So I don't know. I don't know the choice. I don't know the criteria. I don't know whatever it is, but I would just think that some level of caution would have been applied so that this kind of narrative would not have even come out in the first place. And besides, there are millions of people that are actually very, very, disturbed, and that there are many people that are in jail that have no business being in jail. All right, so I'm going to take this final story. 1 million Bibles to be distributed nationwide in honor of our president's son, Sheyi Tinubu. The copies of the Holy Bible are said to be distributed across Nigeria in honor of him. He's a barrister. And he says, organizers said that the Bibles would be shared through churches and community groups nationwide to promote moral renewal, right? Civic or ethical leadership and civic responsibility amongst young Nigerians. The Thanksgiving service, which was held simultaneously in about 40 churches across the country, featured prayers and messages on national renewal. In a message read on his behalf, Sheyi Tinubu expressed appreciation to the organizers, noting that faith and moral education remains essential for responsible citizenship and national building. And he said that the first set of Bibles, which will be distributed to churches, schools, and youth ministries nationwide in the coming weeks, were presented during the service. So this is, you see what we are saying, that this is almost like ironical. On one hand, your father is granting, presidential pardon to people that have been linked to drug-related crimes. On the other hand, you're distributing Bible because you want to bring back morality and, civic responsibility. To make it make sense, right? Yeah. Well, he's not the one distributing it. Somebody else is distributing it on his behalf. Well, it's a good gesture, even though he's Muslim. He's 40, so he's also on the 4th floor like me this year. So, I mean, it's a good gesture. I wouldn't say otherwise, but it's beyond just distributing Bibles. If we truly want to change or clean up the system and bring back moral values and all of that, the work is beyond distributing a Bible. You give somebody a Bible, is there a guarantee that that person would even read what is inside the content of that Bible? No. So I think these things for me are just superficial. They are psychophancy as far as I'm concerned. It's best to do the work. The work is that there is a lot of decay that has happened, and this decay happens because of what we do. I mean, you cannot tell your child, do this, and you're doing something different. Your child will do what you are doing. He will not do what you're saying. So, I mean, make it, balance it up whilst you're doing it. Actions are the ones that would help to clean up the moral decay that we have, and it is in every single action that eventually adds up to a better society. So I'll take a break. When I come back from the break, let's discuss the girl child. Stay with us.
Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light for my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we will analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.
So across Nigeria, millions of girls remain excluded from classrooms, not only because of safety concerns like early marriage, insecurity, or gender-based violence, but also due to deeper systemic and policy failures. While global campaigns often spotlight the dangers girls face, the truth is that safety is only one part of this story. The more urgent question is, why do existing policies continue to fail Nigerian girls, and what reforms are necessary to ensure that every child not only enters school but stays, thrives, and also graduates from school? So joining us is Dawn Emmanuel, and she's an education advocate, the head of administration and operations, Propeller Schools. And yes, she's joined me via Zoom tonight. Thank you for joining us, Dawn.
Thank you very much for having me. It's great to be here.
It's so good to be here. So, I mean, this is such an interesting conversation. So I grew up, a little quick background. I grew up in the north, in Kaduna State, to be precise. And I remember so clearly that when I was in primary school, a lot of my friends, in the neighborhood, young girls, northerners, right? I remember going to school, and I was wondering why, when we wore the uniforms to go to school, they were not going to school. So one day I just decided, we had to hunt our parents, to give us chalkboards, right, and chalks. And so when we come back from school, we'd always write, what we learned. So we teach them 1 to 3, teach them the ABCDs and all of that. We did that consistently, I think, for about 3 or 4 weeks. And all of a sudden, the parents of those children started picking interest. And before we knew it, they registered them in school and they started going to school. So I say this to say that is the education of a girl child, right, or the non-education of a girl child, is it a policy thing or is it a people thing?
I would say it is a people thing and an implementation thing, because the policies themselves exist on paper, right? But we don't see them walk off the page and into the classrooms where they matter. We see all these, laws like the UBE Act. We see the CRA, the Child Rights Act. They're strong and they're so important, but they die in execution. You see budgets are under release. There's no monitoring, and then the administration restarts every 4 years. So it's nice to have those policies, but we fall and we fail at the implementation. And then with the people, we see communities where you have social norms that girls at a certain age get married. Education is not seen by many families as valuable. And in your experience, it wasn't until they saw the value and the benefit that the girls got that they picked interest in it. And I can even guess, I can hazard a guess that after a while, maybe when things started to get tougher, the girls will be pulled out to help the family at home or to get married. And so that's why I say it's an implementation problem as well as a people problem. It's not necessarily a policy problem because the policies exist.
So because the topic is addressing policy failures, right? And so when you talk about the failures, you're not talking about the failure in the sense of the policy itself. It is the implementation of those policies that seems to be where the problem or the bottleneck is.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, because we have this Child Rights Act that covers education and the rights to that.
Yeah.
But there are some states in Nigeria that haven't yet accepted or implemented those laws. They're still riding on cultural laws, and you have the Sharia laws, and those laws are superimposing on, more federal and state laws and even global laws. And it just seems like, okay, what's the point of it all if we cannot implement across the board and have it, grow and grow and grow?
So I mean, just to touch a little bit, because you mentioned it, I want to stay on it for a bit. The Sharia law is something that the Muslims hold very dear. I mean, I recently saw something, even in the UK, they are clamoring for the Sharia law, to be part of the, the laws there, so that a good majority of Muslims are able to practice under that law. So in the case of, dealing with, because a good number of out-of-school children are actually in the north, right?
Yes.
Because it's not something that is new to anybody. That a good number of people there don't really pay attention, to the importance of education in the life of a child, right? So Sharia law is one of the laws that they hold very sacred and one of the laws that they strongly follow. If we were to address this problem or this challenge in a way that also does not conflict what they want to practice. So, for instance, the Sharia law. Wouldn't it be important for us, to start to advocate that the Sharia also now, the law is kind of adjusted in a way that education is also now important in those places? Because you really cannot separate religion, right, from some of these things that is happening. The early marriage issue that we're talking about, the fact that, people don't really care about education like that in some parts of the world, it's because of those kinds of implementation. And the irony of these things sometimes, when I look at, full-fledged, maybe Arab countries that are pure, everybody, almost everybody's Muslim and all of that. These people don't practice what we practice. It seems like it's a different Quran that they are reading from what we see, right? So I have a lot of things in my head, but there's a fine line there that we need to find a way to come and probably amend from that standpoint. Do you think that would help us even make certain progress?
If we amend the Sharia law?
To some extent, yes, and make this policy about education, right, now almost the way the laws are almost sacrosanct, like add that element of to say, okay, you know what, it is okay to practice the Sharia law, but when it comes to education, right, it has to be same across all laws. Do you get my point?
Okay, I do get the point, but I'm struggling to see I'm struggling to see how the Sharia law can be amended, because like you said, it's something that they believe so strongly and they hold on so dearly to. However, I do think that we can adopt certain systems that have worked in other countries. For example, in Bangladesh, there's the FSSSP, the Female Secondary School Stipend Program, where the families get a certain monthly stipend if the girls can meet certain conditions. So, for example, you have to have a 75% attendance to school every term, and you have to maintain a 45% rate on your class test, and you have to stay unmarried. At least until you hit your final maybe secondary school exams. For us, that would be SSCE. So that is something we can adopt. It sort of gives like an incentive. It incentivizes.
Yes, it's incentivizing the structure.
Exactly.
So what you are just saying, you are actually then even further buttressing the point that this is a people problem, because in those places, I am sure that they have some of these laws that they practice. Do you understand? So now there's an incentive that is attached to it. All of a sudden, that law is no longer as important, right, as before. So this thing is a mindset shift that must happen. Because I still see it, because every time we're always having back and forth argument, right? And I'm still seeing it that it is a big problem. This thing is not even unique to the North. I'll give you an example. I know someone from Edo State, right? The father prioritized spending money on educating the boys and never really paid attention to the girls. They had to just sort themselves out. Right? You had 9 children, 2 were boys, and the remaining were girls, right? They had to go and sort themselves out. But the first child that is male, even down to schooling abroad and everything.
Oh.
So it's the fact that people do not take it that it is important, to educate a girl child. That is where the problem is. And that is a people problem. It is in the mind.
Okay.
So how do we solve that problem? So incentivization is one. It is a good thing.
Yes.
So you start to tell people, you know what, if your child stays in school and she maintains a certain grade, blah, blah, blah. So you now be calculating, if I have 50 daughters, it means that I'm making, because it becomes a business for the household, right? But that is even on one side. But you are in a country where do what do they call that thing? To do small stipends or relief funds and all of that. There is no data to back some of these things. So
Exactly.
how do we even start this process at all? I am sure Bangladesh, they have data, so they are able to track, they are able to follow through. So Nigeria is quite unique, so how do we
Yes.
solve that? How do we implement that kind of structure in Nigeria?
We would need a national scorecard of some sorts that tells the truth, an actual scorecard that is honest. So every year, the Ministry of Education should publish simple data. How many girls are in school? How many girls remained in school? How much funding has each state used? And this sort of helps us because I'm going to reference the Bangladesh thing again. In 1991, from 1991, they had about 1 million, thereabout, girls in school. By 2001, they had over 4 million. So we can see that it's efficient. We can see that it's effective. All I think, or I believe we can do is to ensure that there are people on the state level who are there to, your only job is to track. Your only job is to monitor. And I feel like it is benefiting both parts because this is not a handout. This is not, oh, come to school and take money. It is come to school, meet these requirements. And what I've noticed being a Nigerian is there are people who love handling rules and saying, I'm checking the books and I want to ensure that you're playing by our rules. So these things, these people are available to work. I think that we just need to provide the frameworks. We just need to provide the template, at least to start. And that's something that has happened or has not happened yet because people are like, well, if we try and start it, we don't have this, we don't have that. How can we back up this? How can we work on? Let's start first. Let's start first. Bangladesh is not as, should I say, it's not as advanced as a nation as Nigeria, and they were able to pull that off. So I just think we need to at least start first.
So sometimes
And also,
I think it's our over advancement that is not even making us to move forward.
maybe.
But I wanted to ask, right? How alarming are these figures, right? Because again, sometimes,
goodness.
when you hear it, it seems that, are you sure? Not be every day they see girls, they go school. People really are not able, especially people that are in places that are, we call them urban cities. They really cannot tell the extent to which, these figures are worrisome, and it has become a source of concern. How alarming are the figures of girls truly out of school?
I believe it's the UN that the 2004 data puts the numbers generally around, in Nigeria, over 7.6 million girls out of school in Nigeria, 3.9 million on the primary level and 3.7 million at junior secondary. In Nigeria, in the Northwest and Northeast zone, we have 48% of out-of-school children being girls. So these are not just figures. I think we get to the point where it's just statistics to us. It becomes just another data. These are literal girls. So it is anybody who is watching this or listening and thinking, well, I see girls go to school every day. The numbers do not lie. The numbers don't lie.
And I would assume that number is even a lot more than that, because that's, because again,
exactly,
we are not really big on data. So that's why it is hard for you to be able to say, okay, it means the actual figure would be much worse than that.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So let's go on a very short break, right? When we come back, I would like us to try to see how we can, map out solutions to these things and, and where the role of every individual comes in to play. Stay with us, we'll be right back. All right, thanks for staying tuned. Now, if you just tuned in, we're having a conversation around, the girl child going beyond the safety. We want to examine some of the policy failures, that continues to keep the girl child, out of school. Now, please let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. You can also call 0702500779 or 0701-424-2420. Let's hear what you have to say. I have with me, still via Zoom, Don joining us. All right, so Don, as a way of trying to find, because we're having this conversation and time will run by so quickly, we've identified one solution: incentivizing, the girl child, setting up a structure that helps, to incentivize the child, to go to school.
Yeah.
That's one. What is the role of educating parents? Because you see, one of the things that I think happens to our parents, their parents were not educated. So it was a factor of, oh my God, I need to do anything possible to educate my child so that, they will not, be like me, and so that they are able to fend for themselves, and so that they are able to, take care of me in my old age. So a lot of our grandparents, right, great-grandparents, educated their children because of the benefits that they saw they could come back home to give. A parent that is still at that mind frame, because even if the government does not even force you to take your child to school, if a parent is still at that mind space that says that it is okay for my daughter not to go to school, how do we get to that parent?
Okay, for a parent who still thinks, maybe because of their culture and things that they're used to, or they don't just see the value of it, we can reach them by showing them other, should I say, immediate results. Now, with education, the results might be just like academic, or you pass your exams and all of that. For some of them, they don't understand that. So I think there's an NGO in India, I think they call DDK. I can't remember what it stands for at the moment, but they basically brought skills into the picture. So here, oh, my child is going to school, they're learning how to sew, they're learning digital skills, they're learning how to make hair. So now it's like an added thing. Yes, they're going to school, but they're also learning these other things that translate and scale. So the parent doesn't just see the value of education like academically, they see it like transferable skills. So now, for example, if I'm in that shoe and I see my child going to school, and I know when you come back, you're coming back with something I can readily see. I'm not waiting till the end of term. I'm not waiting till the end of your school journey. I can see you can make hair, you can bake, you can do makeup, all these things that, of course, by context in the states that we are in, but all these things that parents can see and say, okay, this actually is making sense to me. We're going to reach them where they are, because at the moment, they really cannot see the value in school, like academics. But when we add something to it, you're going to school, we can partner. We don't have to do it all alone. Partner with bodies, partner with NGOs, partner with private outfits that can come into those schools and teach these skills. So that is how I believe you can get them to see the value. Over time, both things will sort of merge and just become school. It won't be school for academics and school for other things, just become school. So I think that's one thing we can do.
So we're talking infusing entrepreneurial, what's it called? Entrepreneurship into the curriculum.
Yes.
So it's easier for the parents to then accept and comprehend why they are in school in the first place.
Exactly.
So, this conversation around the girl child and, again, out of school, being out of school and all of that is something that has been on for a very long time. And we've had various organizations, that are committed to intentionally train and educate children, right? But we still have some of these issues that are just there. And it doesn't seem like it's going to go away anytime soon. So for organizations that, are looking to probably come into this space and bridge this gap, what should they, first of all, what are the kinds of things that they should put in place that ensures that ensures that that awareness about the education of a girl child can be important and can be good? And what can they start to do actively?
What can they start to do actively? The organizations
Yes.
who want to partner.
Yes, organizations
Okay,
that want
the
to
first
partner.
thing, okay, the first things they can do is to actually see it like a partnership and not something you're doing to add another feather in your cap. Not something you're doing to write in your end of the year report. We did that. See from a part or a point of compassion for these girls. See from a place of love that you are actually, even if you never get to see your name in lights, even if nobody ever gets to give you the accolades, you are fulfilled in the very thing or the very fact that you are helping these girls. That's the first thing. And I think I'm starting with that because when you come from that place of compassion, it's easy to step into their shoes and begin to see other different ways that you can build something. The second thing is start small. Start small. The first thing you can do is to identify issues. Number one, what can actually stop these girls from actually coming to school? If we say come to school, you will learn this and that. What can stop them? Knowledge, awareness. Let's start door to door. Go to IDP camps, go door to door. Let them see track record maybe of other things that the organizations have done, or let them see the benefits. Explain to them in language that they can understand. And then start to provide, maybe for girls who have hit puberty stage, some of them when they're on their monthly period, they can't come out. It's not a thing of I don't want to. It's just I just simply can't. Provide access to wash toilets where they know, okay, when I go to school, there's a toilet that can lock for privacy, and there's access to clean water, running water in a drum or in a tank, and they can actually wash up and have access to menstrual products. Remove the hidden costs, remove the hidden barriers, like cost for uniforms, costs for levies and other examination fees. Let's take all of those out so that when we say come to school, at the very least, you're just spending on transportation or you're just going to walk to school. No, you're not paying for uniforms. No, you're not paying for books. No, you're not going to pay for your exams. Just show up. And so when we start from there, it's easier to build up because we have removed all the excuses, if I could call it that. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. And I would just like to add for organizations, I think, imagine if we start to, just like the way they are advocating for female seats at the National Assembly and the State Houses of Assembly, imagine if organizations would say that for every, let's say every employment cycle, right, they are setting aside 100 or 1,000 slots for female applicants, right? So that can also help the parents to see that, okay, if this girl is able to do XYZ, there's already a slot, there's a job waiting for her. Because again, as I said, I feel like the best way to be able to do this is to come from a mind space. That idea of incentivizing is perfect. So it's just now replicating it in different styles and different formats. So imagine if organizations say, you know what, give us for every 10 graduates that we hire, we must make sure maybe 4 of them are female, right? So it is only when we're not able to get the expertise. So I mean, I know abroad, schools go to companies go to schools and say, okay, these are the people we are looking for. So if you, in case you are still thinking of what career you want to study and all of those things, there is already, like, so you're working it backward. There's a job offering to be a systems engineer. There's a job offering to be like a product manager. So you say, okay, this job opening is already there. So why don't I just work my way backward and see if it's a certificate that I can acquire? So imagine if we have more organizations, becoming more intentional about hiring, female staff.
Yes.
That would really help, to expand the minds of the parents to say, okay, guys, these people already have a job, so just let them go and do this school and look at the salary structure, look at this. So all that way, it just plays, it's just kind of tweaking and just playing on the mind of the parents and playing on the mind of the people, the caregivers, because in the end, these are the people that would say, okay, you know what, go or not go. Some of the times when you see a woman maybe frying akara. She would rather her son goes to school and the daughter stays with her, to be frying the akara and all those kind of things. It can be adjusted just by those little incentives. So I mean, if you had
Yes.
one thing to say to the government in terms of, because let's go back to what you had earlier said about the failure of implementation, right? How do you think the government should drive implementation? Because we have fantastic policies on paper, right? It is the actual execution of those policies that is the challenge. So how do you think the government should approach that?
First way, legal enforcement. Legal enforcement. Let there be penalties for non-compliance. Let us just stop doing this. Oh, XYZ state is yet to, enforce, and then we move on. Let there be penalties for non-compliance, penalties for child marriage, penalties for, child labor, and just not following the Child Rights Act and the Educational Act as well. So I think that if we have that on lock, I believe that would solve a great deal of the problem. So let there just be legal enforcement. Let there be transparency. Let's be transparent. Let's be honest. Let's be transparent. And lastly, let us not measure by should I say, sign-ups. Let's just stop measuring by, XYZ number of girls are now in school. Let's measure at the end of the term. Let's start using that instead. How many have remained? How many graduated? How many left because of marriage, and how were we able to bring them back? How many left because they had a baby, and how were we able to bring them back? So with those three things in place, I believe we will at least make some headway.
Okay, so before I let you go, I'd like you to run me through what you do, as an advocate, and how you are also contributing your quota.
All right, I am Dawn Emmanuel, education advocate and also head of operations and administration at Propeller School. So Propeller School is a tuition-free, 100% tuition-free. I feel like when I say tuition-free, it doesn't really capture the depth. So we're not just tuition-free, we also provide uniforms for free, we provide books, everything, and even food for the children. So we're let me say, tuition-free. Everything free school here, community school here in Ibadan. And how I contribute to that is that I ensure that every child is in school, particularly the girl child, but every child is in school. And, when you have, you're not in school today, we always call what's going on, what are the issues. So we're sure that it's not a thing where a child has gone to hawk or a child has gone to help mommy in the shop. If they say, this is the issue, we find a way. For example, one of the recurring issues we've had is, a parent who has a daughter, two of our parents who had daughters, couldn't come to school and stay in school because of transportation. And so I said, okay, can you work? Are you looking for a job? Do you want to be hired as our support staff? And they said yes. So we hired the mothers. And now the mothers are involved even in other children. They know which child was in school and which child wasn't in school. So for us, that is our little way of ensuring that what we're talking about up here is also happening down here.
Amazing, amazing. So what's the strength of your numbers in terms of the students that you're able to accommodate, per time?
We have about 80 students from primary 1 to primary 4.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we just started, so.
That's amazing. So, I mean, again, this will require a lot of funding, and
Yes.
And it will require a lot of commitment. So one thing I have studied about people, when something is free, they really don't pay attention to, but tell me what is different, with the children. Are they really seeing the what's it called, that yes, this is a golden opportunity, or is it something that they're just there? Your selection process. Do you take every child, or it is also a child that is willing to commit? Because again, it's free. So I don't know what's the process like.
Okay, so our selection and admissions process is pretty much straightforward. We did a drive in the community. We went and, told people this is what we're doing. Funny story, many parents didn't sign up then. It was after a while and they saw this thing is real. And they would tell me, oh, we thought, Nigerians, I don't know, we thought you wanted to use our child's glory. That's why it was free. And I'm like, what? Anyway, so we do the sign-ups. You come with your child. We have assessments done. What's their level of literacy and numeracy. And so with that, we fit them into classrooms and classes that we believe we don't do by age. Oh, you're 8 years old, so you must be in primary 3 or primary 2. We do by what level
Capacity.
of, exactly. So we have some older kids in maybe primary 2, and that's okay because they're learning. So we don't really look, at this point, we're more invested in let them come to school. Right now, I would say we are maxed out because we want to handle the numbers we have now first. So we are maxed out. We're not doing new admissions. So the changes that we have seen, the children know. I always tell them this is a free school, but we're not running it as if it's a valueless school. It is a school where we are teaching you daily. We're not just teaching you academically, we're teaching you spiritually, we're teaching you values, manners, morally, and all those things. And so their parents are seeing the effects. And one thing we don't do in our schools, we don't flog. So that's one thing they love. The children love that we don't flog. And so the parents are seeing that, oh, there is results without the children being battered and bruised and beaten. And so everybody's happy. There's a lot that we'll still need to cover because some kids, having been out of school for a long time, don't really know a lot of things that they should know. And this is not just academically. They just don't know. So there's a long road to cross. But I can say we've made good progress. I threaten the children sometimes when I don't know what else to do. I'm like, it's like, you don't want to come to this school again. I'm calling your mommy to take you away, and they'll start begging, please, I'm sorry. So I think it means a lot to them and the parents as well because they're so involved.
Awesome. I mean, just to touch a little bit on what you said about using the child's glory. So we also recently just launched Media Academy. So the goal for the Media Academy is to, we call it learn to earn. So you train, you get a skill, and you start to earn money to become self-sufficient, right? Our main goal is to pull as many young people that are unable to get jobs or whatever into the school, and they then, get the skill for content creation within the entire media ecosystem, right? Skills within the media ecosystem. And then after they learn, they start to earn money because the goal is for us we want to identify businesses that are in need of those services and then place them as, to get jobs there. And I remember us getting a call. A parent wanted to bring the child all the way from Makurdi, I believe. The person said, oh, that they are afraid that we look like we are scammers, we are this. I say, have you not gone to go and check? I mean, it was strange to me because I used to think that it is people that don't have track record, people that have not been there, it's so interesting how, you see these things and so that's why I said that the mind, there's a lot of unlearning to do. There's a lot of relearning, you have to learn, unlearn, and relearn. There's a lot of that to do because a lot of people are so skeptical. With this, your free school now, they'll say, they don't carry all your children glory. Yeah, if you're even giving them food on top, all these kind of things are things that, it's a programming that we just need to deprogram ourselves from. Sadly, that's the reality of the Nigerian thing. So even when you think you're coming with a great idea, you're coming with a fantastic idea that will change and transform the lives of people will still, there's still that barrier. People will still want to question, your intention, your motive. And it's in their right to do so. But quickly, before we wrap up, right, what is the percentage of admitting between the girl and the boy child in your school, right? Since you are a pro female child, are you giving priority for more girls in the school than boys, or is it balanced?
More girls.
Yeah, okay.
We have more girls, and I think that's one. Initially, wasn't based on anything we did. It just seemed like the parents just understood that my child has to go to school. So we have more girls in each class. I do want us to have more boys too, because I'm all about educating everybody, but we have more girls, which is really, really, really fantastic.
Okay. And on the final note, I keep on saying final. Certifications, right? So when these children graduate from the school and they have their certifications, it is recognized, right? By
oh, yes.
Okay. So that they are able to then advance to second. So I believe this is the primary school level. So is Propel thinking of going to the secondary level? What's the vision for your school in the next, what's it called, maybe 5 years? Are we thinking of expanding to senior secondary level? Or the basic
I'll
education is
just
just
do
enough?
this. I'll do this first. Like you said, it takes a lot of funding. When we started, we're backed by the church that started the initiative. So the church backed us, or is backing us, and then with the givings of a lot of partners. Is not my idea. It is. I'm just working here. I bought into the vision. So if we get good funding, of course, we want to open up more room, want to open up more classes, want to even go lower to like nursery, which I believe would be good. So yes, is in the vision, but the vision takes a lot of,
It requires a lot
so
of funding.
yeah,
I
yeah.
can imagine. But thank you so much, Don, for your time. And it's been an
Thank
amazing time
you.
talking to you. And we are looking forward
Thank
to more of
you.
this conversation. And hopefully, we would love to even bring our team to come and do like a visit, like tour, and do
That would be great.
do a mini documentary about the school, just to give it more. It would be nice to do
That
that.
would be great.
So I'll
That would be
probably
great.
speak with the producer to get across on that, and let's see how that can be possible.
All
But thank you
right.
so much for
Thank
your time.
you.
Thank you
You
so
too.
much.
Bye bye.
All right, so while insecurity remains a visible barrier to girls' education in Nigeria, the deeper issue lies in persistent policy failures, from inadequate funding and poor infrastructure to a lack of gender-sensitive policies and accountability. Now, true progress demands a holistic approach that goes beyond safety. It requires political will. I mean, there has to be a will. It requires inclusive policy making. It could requires, following through those policies. It requires implementation and a commitment to removing economic, cultural, and institutional barriers. Only by addressing these systemic failures can Nigeria create an environment where every girl not only feels safe to attend school, but is empowered to stay, learn, and thrive. The future of the Nigerian girl child, and indeed the nation, depends on it. And that would be possible if we all put our hands together and make it work. When you educate a girl child, you're actually educating the nation, because, I mean, yeah, that's just who we are. We are multipliers as females. All right, so thank you again for watching. Again, thank you, please, for sharing these links. It's important that you share for anyone that needs to hear this. So before I go, ensure you follow us across all social media handles, subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's at Official Upgrade TV. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and most importantly, follow all our engagements on social media, like, share, invite families, friends, anyone, frenemies, everybody to watch and follow the conversation. Now, if you missed our quote for the day, it says, it's not that Nigerian girls don't want to go to school. It's that policy failures, poverty, and unsafe environments keep closing the classroom doors on them. And this was from an advocate, a girl child advocate. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 8 p.m. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population, and with little or no meaningful engagement, lives a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.